a business owner that has a trademark that's very distinctive, that is very recognizable, and is used on goods or services that are known worldwide, those are pretty valuable assets that need to be protected.
Hello, this is Marco Law. Welcome to Marco Rock TV. I'm Marco Rock, your host for Inside a Great Mind, where we interview entrepreneurs, game-changing authors for the purpose to inspire and inform you. Today, I'm so excited for my guest, Karine Sokpoh. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. So tell us, who's Karine Sokpoh?
Well, I'm Karine. I am originally from Togo in West Africa. I have been living here in Omaha for the past 19 years or so, and out of those 19 years, 11 years has been spent as a practicing attorney. I practice in the areas of immigration, business, to include incorporation, trademarks, and copyrights, and also family law. Thank you so much for having me on your platform.
It is a pleasure. What has inspired you to become an attorney?
So, being from Togo, the rule of law is something that has always been a passion of mine. And since I was about age 13, I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So since 13 you knew that you want to be a lawyer?
Yes.
That's amazing. Yes, you know you want to be a lawyer. Did you also know that you want to be a business owner?
No, and that's the funny part. And
there's a funny part to it?
Yes,
I want to know.
There's a funny part to it, because so when I went to law school, what I wanted to do is to be a human rights lawyer, like Amal Clooney.
Okay.
And work maybe for the International Penal Court or International Criminal Courts in Rwanda and places like that. And then I saw my first law school bill. And then realized, well, maybe not right now. Maybe I needed to do something to be able to pay off these student loans. And then,
I can venture
there later. But I started my legal career working in corporate law for Collegiation here in town. It's a medium-sized law firm. If you want to look at it nationally, back then they had about 60 attorneys. So I clerked for them for 2 years while I was in law school, and then I joined them for a few years later. And then after about 3 years, I decided I wanted to do something where I have a little more variety work-wise, and I wanted to work and serve my community also, and I wanted to work with immigrants.
Interesting.
So, yes, that's when I started Sokpoh Law Group back in 2011.
Awesome. What are the challenges to be a lawyer? Well, the challenges and opportunity to be a business owner and practicing law.
Well, it is. There are a lot of opportunities in owning your own firm. You have a little more control over your schedule.
Okay.
You have control over who you choose to accept as a client.
Oh, is that right?
It is.
Okay.
It is. When you get past the first year, you have a little more control over that, because you are no longer practicing what is called front door law, meaning, because you need money, whomever walks in, you'll take. You have more flexibility. You can say no, and refer them out to other lawyers that will help them better if you don't feel that this is something you want to take on. some of the challenges of being a business owner and a solo practitioner, which is what I am right now, is that when you have a very rigorous cost schedule too, and then you still have administrative work and billing and all those things to do, it can take up a lot of time. And you don't have control over your court schedule so much.
I see.
So that can create, a little bit of friction in your calendar. But the administrative part of it, every solo practitioner will tell you, is what we like the least, is the billing, the paperwork.
Yeah.
But that's every small business, though.
I agree.
That's a shared challenge across the board.
As an immigration attorney, what are the few changes you have seen in immigration policies, especially in the new administration nowadays?
It has been a roller coaster, to say the least. There are changes basically almost every week, or at least proposed changes until the court steps in with either an injunction out of California, or somewhere on the West Coast there. But there has been a lot of changes, a lot of policy changes. For instance, for F1 students, it used to be that they could be here for the duration of their status, even and so long as there wasn't a formal determination made by USCIS that they were out of status, they did not start accumulating unauthorized presence here. However, right now, as soon as they stop going to school, their service is terminated and they are having unauthorized presence. And that is an issue because when they don't know about that and they are here for 6 months but less than a year illegally, and they try to get out of the country, if they go, they cannot come back in for 3 years. If they do stay for more than a year, if they leave the United States, they cannot come back in for 10 years.
For 10 years?
For 10 years.
Oh.
So that could be devastating for people when they don't really know what the change is.
With the new changes, how can people be aware, be in the know of those changes? I mean, where can they go and get those fresh information so they can make better decisions?
So the USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, does have a website that contains a lot of information. You can sign up for their newsletters so that you can get updates and things like that. That's one way of keeping abreast of what's happening. I also recommend that immigrants consult with a qualified licensed attorney.
What did you say, qualified licensed attorney?
Right.
That trigger I'm interested in. What's a qualified?
Yes. So you want to consult with an attorney that is duly licensed. What we have seen in the past, especially in the Latino community and also the African community, is that what people do is to go to what's called a notario. This is somebody that is not a licensed attorney.
I see.
And this is somebody that maybe knows a little bit about the immigration system, but not enough. So what I say is they know just enough to be dangerous. So they go there and then mistakes are made, mistakes that could have been avoided if they had gone to a practicing qualified licensed attorney that could have warned them of the dangers of some of the paths that they were told to take.
Interesting. You also practice business law.
I do.
And I have some few questions I'd like to ask regarding that topic. Let's say two people are getting together into business, they're friends,
yes,
becoming partners.
Yes.
What I think that you may advise those people moving forward? Yeah, today they can be friends, but in terms of business, things happen in the future. How can those two people protect themselves moving forward?
So my first piece of advice may be a little bit controversial.
Oh, okay.
Do not use LegalZoom to come up with your operating agreement for that business, because when it's more than one person entering into a business agreement, you want to make sure that the agreement that you have covers all eventualities that could be foreseeable. Okay. And you want it to be customized to the actual business that you are engaging in. Tools like LegalZoom are great for a one-person LLC where you are doing all the decisions yourself. There's highly likely that you could sue yourself in the future over this business. So I always recommend to actually go to an attorney, have them draft something that's really customized to both your needs, and make sure that there's an exit plan in this agreement for, okay, what do we do if things go south and one person wants to leave? So there needs to be provisions in there. What do we do if there's a dispute? Do we want to try to arbitrate first, or do we want to be free to just run off and go file in court? And if one of us needs to buy the other person out, how do we value
the business?
Yeah. Yes. So
that's very interesting. Now let's talk about trademarks.
Sure. One of my passions.
That's your passion?
Yes.
Interesting.
I love doing trademark work.
So for a business owner, do you think or believe it's important for business to have a trademark to their name, and why?
Well, I believe it is important. There are some companies where the trademarks alone are worth more than any other assets that the company owns. The trademarks, the trade secrets are alone worth more than any other assets. For instance, if you look at Disney and the trademarks that Disney owns, and they vigorously police their trademarks. So those are tangible assets that are worth a lot of money for a business. And so a business owner that has a trademark that's very distinctive, that is very recognizable, and is used on goods or services that are known worldwide, those are pretty valuable assets that need to be protected. But in order to get to that name recognition, you have to start protecting it when you are small, so that it will acquire value over time.
Let's say I have a name ABC based in here in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes.
And somebody else will have that same name, ABC. Maybe I started first, ABC company.
Yeah.
And then I just noticed, I go to the internet, I noticed that there's another company in Oklahoma have ABC and do something similar.
Yes.
What happened?
So in trademark law, there's something called likelihood of confusion. So a trademark is valuable when it is used, and it is also valuable when it is used in connection with interstate commerce. So if this ABC Nebraska company is only doing business locally here in Omaha, has never done any business in Oklahoma, never done business anywhere else in the United States, and their business is just limited to Omaha, it will be hard to convince a court that the Oklahoma entity is infringing upon the rights of the Nebraska entity. So you have to be using it nationwide, basically, in order for an argument to be made that there is likelihood that your business here will be confused with the one in
What if it's online business?
That's where, that's the newer challenges now. If it is online, then you are using it nationwide, if not worldwide, and you have to show that you are using it, and you have to show that you were first to use it.
Okay.
So the date of first use is important. Did you register it? Because if you register it, there are more protections that are available under the law in terms of treble damages or infringement and things like that. If you have it registered with the United States Patents and Trademark Office, that's a plus. And if you had it registered before the soda company started using it, and then when we look at likelihood of confusion, we look at what are they using it for. So if the ABC company in Omaha is in the business of, I don't know, what do you sell online these days? Clothing, selling clothing online. And then the ABC company in Oklahoma sells tires for cars. The services or the goods are different.
Okay.
And then they will now look at the marks themselves and see how similar they are in their appearance and how they are advertised.
Interesting. Now let's shift our conversation a little bit. If Karine has to make one positive change in the world right now, what would that be?
In the whole world?
Anyways, one thing that you have the power to change right now, make something positive, what could that be?
So I am passionate again about the law and justice. So if I could make a positive change in the world right now, is to ensure that access to justice is not based on the power of your pocketbook. Okay, so that would be my one thing, to make sure that justice was available to everybody, everywhere, regardless of their income. Corruption is very prevalent in some parts of the world with the justice system, which basically means justice is denied to the poor and to the people that don't have any power. So that's one thing that I will change if that was within my capacity.
Okay. If you were to be an animal, which one would you be and why?
A spirit animal.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. That's a good one. What would that be? A Black Panther.
Wow. Why?
Because it's powerful, it's sleek, and very dangerous when provoked.
When provoked. Wow, that means a lot. Okay. Interesting. What would be your last tip, advice to my audience?
Well, I will encourage anybody that's out there wanting to own their business to go forward. You may be afraid of losing the security of a paid income. You may be afraid of the challenges that come your way embarking on a new adventure such as this, but do it afraid and do it anyway.
Do it afraid, do it anyway.
Yeah.
Karine Sokpoh, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me and having me on your platform.
Appreciate it.